Spend now versus start saving? Well, welcome in. This is a familiar push-pull for many. The desire to spend now versus the opportunity to start savings. Let's talk about when it's okay to splurge versus when it's better to save. Or in most cases, what I would recommend, let's do a little of both. Imagine, it's our early decades. What's happening here? They're filled with preparation, practice at working, new relationships, and some sampling opportunities that might shape our long-term choices. It's a fun on-ramp time and one where money decisions do not necessarily drive action, and that's cool. Yet a common feeling of money tension is present. Not all of us feel the tension the same way, but the pull and the desire to spend now or spend more than we had planned fights with the opportunity to start savings beyond an emergency fund. We're going beyond we're going beyond the basics. Now, this was recently covered by Ben Carlson in his super Wealth of Common Sense newsletter, and is a driving premise by Netflix star Remit, Sethi, author of I Will Teach You to Be Rich. When I first met Remit and heard this book and saw the title, I thought it was so odd. But once you get to know the guy, you'll understand. It makes a lot of sense. Now, I met him at a conference, FinCon, which is for financial communicators. Remit says his philosophy is simple, and it's twofold. First, spend extravagantly on the things you love. But, number two, as long as you cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. Now, you're watching What's Next with Money, a program with smart insights to guide your financial decisions. If we break down this approach and couple it with some savings habit building, it might make sense to some folks. Being younger, we have fewer family responsibilities. We're more mobile, ready to try new things. But one new concept is the emergence of a so-called life cycle model of investing and saving and spending. Now, the model is kind of unusual, but it goes like this. High income earners should delay saving till their 30s and 40s and make it up then, but enjoy life now in their 20s. Now, I'm going to show you some things to splurge on. We're going to have fun with this. Splurge on in your younger working years. But first, a few drawbacks of this life cycle model. Number one, the biggest one, not all people early in their careers are high income earners. I certainly was not, and neither was my wife. Now, if one follows that model and spends now with the intention of making up for it more in early middle age, there's going to be several concerns. You have not developed the habit of saving, even if you start out small. And this is a big time value of money issue. You lose years of compounding wealth in savings and investing and capturing market upside, buying during downturns. And these downturns happen along the way. You're going to miss those on-sale opportunities. And the low-cost acquisition of stock, real estate, or other investment returns based on a company's earnings, dividends, and growth. And let's say you did have that high salary job and maybe bonus income. If you've got it, it may not always be there. And big one, are you disciplined to pull this off? As incomes rise, so do tastes. They often get more expensive. You get used to a higher, more costly lifestyle. And as you get older, responsibilities increase. Marriage, children, housing, relocation, more training and graduate education, work travel, other extended family obligations and demands on your money. When you start saving later in life, you've not had the practice or the vision of seeing your account values and net worth grow, even if it's small. Late savings and investing feels like a loss of income because now you're kind of moving it in that direction. It's not available to spend, and you're not used to it. And as Carlson notes, behavioral research, without question, says a feeling of loss stings twice as bad as gains make us feel happy. So what can early career folks and their parents do? And we might want to think of atomic habits with your money. Real basic incremental moves. Like try something like saving half of all your raises in some form. Roth IRA, certainly more to your 401k account, beefing up that down payment savings. Number 2, go for that match in your 401k at work. It's free money, folks. And 3, this is going to help reinforce point 2, set up a retirement savings allowance. Now you might say, what is that? Well, I don't know if I invented this, but I sure thought of it myself as kind of an outside of the box wealth building techniques. Now this is for folks, and you're going to need some parental cooperation. It's for young people early in their job life. A retirement savings allowance, if you find it hard to save for that 401k free money match at work, because you might have a modest salary to start with, modest earnings, but you also could be saddled with student loan debt repayments. You might ask, if your parents are still around, could they help cover the cost, kind of front you extra money to make those retirement plan contributions? You're going to make it out of your paycheck, but they're going to reimburse you at least for a year of those contributions. And the whole goal is to capture that free money, kind of get a 2-for-1 action. And you want to set a time limit on this. You might want to try it for 1 year to capture that free money match. Or the concept of a retirement savings allowance in a different setting, not for retirement savings, could be a good alternative for a later house down payment strategy. Maybe you start saving for a down payment, you and your spouse, and the parents might help incentivize or match. Let's say you save $100, they might help match that with $50. That would be kind of fun, and it's incremental. Now, what I'm describing, you can do this for your young adult children, but there should be some rules and guardrails for this allowance recipient. For the retirement part, you would need to share the 401k investing statements or digital paper trail with parents for accountability and encouragement. And then see if you feel richer at the end of the year, and you probably will. Also, if you're going to change jobs, agree to roll over that 401k to a rollover IRA, or if the new employer allows you to directly roll it over into their new 401k plan of the new employer, go ahead and do that. So you're not having any retirement leakage. You want to agree not to cash out any money out of this. You're going to have tax penalties if you do, even if it's to avoid a hardship withdrawal. And don't borrow from the 401k if your employer allows it. That'll kind of blow up this fun exercise and this sense of trust with your parents. So if you're getting value from this video, be sure to hit the subscribe, smash that like button. This helps move our content to more folks, and it's free. Now back to spending. Here are 5 great things, it's kind of I promise to have fun, to splurge on in your younger years. Now this is from the book Happy Money by Dunn and Norton. Now, research they did shows the 5 biggest ways spending money can make you feel happier over the long run. Number 1, buy experiences, not stuff. 2, make it a treat, don't overindulge. 3, buy time, pay up for convenience. 4, pay now and consume later. Now, I call this pay away from my buy now, pay later video, but here's the place where you want to avoid credit card debt. The idea, the basic one, try saving up until you have the money to buy something. And this is illustrated in this beautiful Saturday Night Live sketch with Steve Martin and Amy Poehler and Chris Parnell, and we'll have a link. And number 5, invest in others. This is charity, picking up a tab, helping others, being of service. This is an investment many times of your time, not your money, to causes that you care about. And hey, there could be some bonus. I even met my wife in a service setting. No money exchanged hands, but we were there for a good cause, and then we fell in love. Now, I can't say we did all these things as a couple, these 5 actions, but we did many, and started the habit of savings and even investing outside of our retirement plans. And as I've said, admitted to in other videos, I did cash out some retirement money and paid a tax penalty to pay for our own self-financed 1,200-mile move from Kentucky to Denver. It gave me an apartment deposit and some rent money. And hey, it paid off in new careers for both of us, new investments, creative endeavors, real estate and small business opportunities, an expanded family, and community service leadership positions. Now, early in our careers, in addition to navigating marriage, we were still looking at graduate education tuition, student loans, and though we rented cheaply, small older units, we generally had two incomes. And now sometimes that was one of the incomes was part-time during graduate school. We did save for a house down payment through this cheap rent we had, and we had emergency funds. But I did something else. I was very interested in investing, did not own a home, but I also started investing outside of a 401k account. Now, I both lost and made money. I mostly made money, but I learned a lot. I gained a lot of experience, and we deliberately delayed getting a house to build savings because we didn't know if we wanted to settle in a specific geographic location where we worked. We also did a little traveling, including international, and I wish we had done more of that before we had kids. And I've got vivid memories of this time, these trips, these experiences, more than as I reflect on the things we owned at the time and some of those things we later replaced. Good memories compound. And you can tell I am not a fan of the life cycle model for spending and investing as described, because you won't be saving early. You may feel, because you're not saving that early, you're going to feel you have to make up, and sometimes in a panic or maybe taking higher risk for the years of non-saving, non-investing, non-compounding. And those are the years also of non-market experience. And I've learned so much being an active stock, mutual fund, ETF investor in those early years that has paid off. I'm much more Warren Buffett sophisticated now in my older years, can manage my emotions better, and plus have a lot of extra reserves to work and play with. So we have a video on common investing mistakes people make, and we'll have a link to that. So saving should start early and grow as a habit, even if it is small. We saved $100 a month out of our first professional paychecks and put it into a credit union just to practice the art of savings. And also, this was the way we built our emergency fund. And back then, I just flat out did not have high earnings. But I do have a robust young life of memories and thoughtful building block decisions. Now, we even followed Remit's advice to a degree. Remember, Remit says, and he's on Netflix and you'll love his 8-part series, spend extravagantly on the things you love as long as you cut costs mercilessly on the things you don't. But I'm going to add something to Remit's wisdom. I would add saving regularly and investing for the things you love and the future and the net worth you would like to have. So we did accomplish that. So be sure to hit that subscribe and that like button, and don't forget to share. I'm Brett Neiser, looking to see you next time on What's Next with Money.